जय।
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
जय
की जय।
जय
गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय।
जय
भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय।
जय
श्याम वेद भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय।
गौर प्रेमानंदे।
हरि हरि बोल।
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari
हरि बोल।
So today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, and verse number is 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Taya vilasate sveshu guneshu gunavaniva antah pravishta abhati vijnanena vijrahvitah taya vilasite sveshu guneshu gunavaniva antah pravishta abhati vijnanena vijramam bitah taya vilasiteshveshu guneshu gunavaniva antah pravishta abhati vijnanena vijrambitah. Someone can repeat.
Taya vilashita veshu gureshu gunavaniva anta pravishata abhati vijnanena vijambitaha.
Taya vilasiteshveshu guneshu gunavaniva antapravishta abhati vijnanena vijrimbitaha. Taya vilasiteshveshu guneshu gunavan iva antapravishta abhati vijnanena vijrumbitaha.
We will read word to word. Taya, by then. Vilashet shu, although in the function. Ishu, these. Guneshu, the modes of material nature. Gunvan, affected by the modes. Iva, as if. Antaha, within. Pravishtaha, entered into. Abhati, appears to be. Vijnanena, by transcendental consciousness. Vijambhitaha, fully enlightened. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. After creating the material substance, Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is always the material modes, he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created being. He is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. The living entities are separated parts and parcel of the Lord, and the conditioned living entities who are unfit for the spiritual kingdom are strewn within the material world to enjoy matter to the fullest extent as Paramatma, and eternal friend of the living entities, the Lord, by one of his plenary portion, accompanies the living entities to guide them in their material enjoyment and to become witness to all activities. While the living entities enjoy the material conditions, the Lord maintains his transcendental position without being affected by the material atmosphere. In the Vedic literature Shruti, it is said that there are two birds in one tree. One of them is sitting in one of them is eating the fruits of the tree, while the other is witnessing the actions. The witness is the Lord, and the fruit eater is the living entity. Fruit eater, the living entities, has forgotten his real identity and is overwhelmed in the fruitive activities of the material condition. But the Lord is always full in transcendental knowledge. That is the difference between the super soul and the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, the living entity, is controlled by the laws of nature, while the Paramatma or the super soul is the controller of the material energy. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते. तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. नमा विष्णु पादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. So this is very nice verse. Actually, we are reading very important section of Bhagavatam, which is this chapter is entitled Divinity and the Divine Service. So here, actually, what we are reading, let me explain you where we are actually in the matter of discussion. So in the first and second chapters, like in first chapters, we know that all the sages of the Naimisharanya and headed by the Shaunak Rishi, they asked the 6 questions to the Sutta Goswami. So the Srila Sutta Goswami has already answered question 1 and 2. So now he's, rather than answering the question number 3, what is the question number 3? Question number 3 is, why did the Lord appear in the womb of Devaki and the son of Vasudeva? Like, what was the purpose of Lord's appearance? That was the question. So he answers that question later on in this chapter after in 34th verse. But here he is answering question number 4. Question number 4 is like describe the Purushavatars, describe the Lord's adventures in various incarnations. So he's asking about Purushavatars. So now, if we see if we describe the Purusha avatars, actually Purusha avatars are discussed in the 3rd and 4th and 5th chapter and later on throughout the Bhagavatam. But Jiva Goswami actually explains this thing. If he takes his commentary, then he's saying that actually the sages actually want the creation pastime of the Lord. So that's why in the last shloka, we read how Lord created this material world. And he's explaining more further in this verse actually that how the Lord enters in this material substance, and then he's saying that how Vasudeva, like we read very nice 2 shlokas, how the Vasudeva takes part in Vasudeva Paradeva, Vasudeva Paramaka, Vasudeva Parayoga, Vasudeva Parakriya, Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapa, Vasudeva Paro Dharma, Vasudeva Paragati. So Vasudeva is Krishna himself, is feature of Krishna. And Krishna actually in this shloka says that he appears that he's one of the created beings, but he's always fully enlightened. So Krishna actually makes this material world, but he's not part of this actually. His body is transcendental. He doesn't have like we have the body and soul, and we have to keep up our body. He need not too, because in the Vaikuntha Loka we see that people are always young. They never get old age or anything. And they do not have separate body, like separate soul and separate super soul in there. They have only one thing. They don't have body separate and soul separate. So there is a lot of difference in the but here in the purport Prabhupada is saying, that the Nitya Siddha, Nitya Baddha, we are Nitya Baddha, eternally born, conditioned souls actually. But Krishna he comes in this material world. Although we see Krishna is being seen in this material world, he does all the leelas, but he is not an ordinary person. So we have to understand this thing, that how Krishna comes actually in the Shastras, in the Mandap Upanishad, it is said that this body is like compared to a tree. So although there are two birds in the same tree, so we have two birds. What are two birds in our body? The soul and super soul. So one is eating bird, who is fully engrossed with the anxiety and moroseness, is the enjoyer of the fruit. But which is our soul actually. But then what happens, we have other bird also, which is the super soul, who is witnessing, and he is permitter also. So he is also sitting in the body. So we have a lot of anxiety because we are nitya baddha. Actually, we have so much anxiety, so much moroseness. And what is the reason for this? The reason is the ignorance actually, that we are this body, and let me enjoy as much as I can. So we have actually turned our face from to his turn other side, our face other side from our friend actually, who is our well-wisher and our best friend. And he is permitting everything what we want to do, and he gives us so many things, but we have turned our face. Who is the Lord? And we know his glories, but actually we don't want to do anything with him, and we just want to enjoy ourselves. And that is the main cause of all our sufferings. So once we know that if we turn our face towards Lord, then all our suffering will go away actually. And that is the Krishna consciousness. So actually Jiva soul, if you see, Jiva soul is struggling so hard in this material world. So because as soon as we actually accept a spiritual master and try to follow his instructions, then our all problems will be solved. So most important thing is actually accepting a spiritual master and follow his instructions very seriously. So if you do that, then our problems will go very soon. Like we see Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, how morose he was and how much his anxiety that I don't want to fight and all those things, but actually he took Krishna as his spiritual master and he followed his instructions. And then we see how everything went smooth. So that way the subordinate bird or our soul can actually become free from all lamentations. So actually if you see super soul, he is actually observing all our activities, and which is stated in all the Upanishads, that these two birds are sitting on the same tree, and one is enjoying the fruits and other one is watching. So we can see that the demoniac persons actually, they don't have any faith in the God. So they don't believe that one is super soul and one is soul, and they don't have any faith in the God, and they do not believe that there is super soul inside their body, and that's why they perform all kind of sinful activity. They are not scared or they are not afraid of doing anything because they don't see the presence, they don't feel the presence of the Lord. But because we have so much dirt on our heart, so we cannot feel that super soul is watching. Once we know the super soul is inside and we clean our heart by the process of hearing, then actually we can see that everything gets clearer and clearer to us, and then we can accept a spiritual master and continue our devotional service. Because Lord is sitting right in the heart actually. We need not to go anywhere. We have to just realize him. So Lord is actually overseer and permitter. So the devotees of the Lord actually believe that nothing can take place without the sanctions of Supreme Lord. Everything, whatever happens actually, it happens because of the desire of the Lord actually. And Lord actually fulfills our desire because we are children of the Lord, we are sons and daughters of the Lord, and Lord tries to fulfill our desires. And Bhagavad Gita actually says that Lord stays in our heart. in the 15th chapter, 15th number verse, it says, Sarvasya Chaham Adi Sannivishto Matah Smrti Jnana Apohanancha Vedesha Sarve Ahamaya Vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Videha Chaham. So Krishna says that I am seated in everyone's heart. From me comes the remembrance and the knowledge and also forgetfulness. So sometimes people say, why Krishna wants forgetfulness? Why Krishna wants us to forget? But Krishna doesn't force us because he has given us little bit independence. So Krishna does not force us to remember him always, So he said, if you want to remember, remember me. So because that kind of love, somebody that he forces us to remember him all the time and think about him all the time, that's a forceful. Krishna doesn't want that kind of love. He wants voluntary love, that we feel him, we love him by our own heart, not just like by pressure. If somebody says, you love me, and put a gun point at your head, that's not the real love. Real love should come from inside our own heart, that I want to do something for the Lord. I want to make him happy. Our life's purpose should be to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that thing actually should come there. So Krishna is saying here, Sarvesh Vedesh Sarver Ahame Vedya, that I am to be known by all the Vedas. So actually by all the Vedas, all the Vedic literature, all the knowledge, actually he has to be known. So that is the main purpose of reading all Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or any Vedic book, we read, the main purpose is to know about Krishna. Otherwise, there's no sense of reading all those things, because Krishna is the compiler Veda and he's the knower of all the Vedas. So in this verse, actually, we are reading that how, because in the last shloka we read that how the Karnadaksha Vishnu actually comes and he enters, he makes this whole universe. So how he makes this whole universe, I will just explain a little bit, because it's a very big subject matter. So beyond this spiritual sky, like beyond we can see in the sky, there is a unlimited span of the spiritual sky. This spiritual sky starts beyond our vision, and then there is, so that spiritual sky is actually Brahma Jyoti, which is the effulgence of the Lord Krishna's body's effulgence. So we can see everything. So and there are in that spiritual sky, there are millions and billions of the spiritual planets actually, and each planet is much bigger than any of the earthly planets. And there are so many people, because more people actually live in spiritual planets than these material planets, because we are just like prisoners, because we didn't wanted to stay with the Lord, so Lord sent us. So actually major portion is staying up, and serving the Lord. And we came here because we were rebellious to the Lord, that why Lord, everybody has to serve him, I want to be my own master. So that's why we are here. And we should actually make plans to go back to him, to the spiritual planets and live there, because everybody is happy there. They are not miserable like we are here. We may think, sometimes we get little happiness and we may think that I'm happy, but that's not the happiness. So the people live there, they live very long life actually, and they live very young also all the time. They don't have different body and soul, and they are not in any kind of anxiety. So now how the Mahavishnu generates in the casual ocean. So Mahavishnu actually lies down in the casual ocean. So in the Karnadaksha ocean, Karnadak ocean, actually, Vishnu lies down. So if you see Vishnu lying down in the water, in the ocean, and all the bubbles are floating around, they are universes, So when he exhales, then all the universes comes from his belly and floats all around the water. So there are millions and millions of universes like that. Many scientists actually do not know. They think only this where the Earth is there, that 14 planets there. Only these are the planets here. They do not know even about the lower planets. They know only some very few planets. That's it. But actually, there are so many planets like that. millions and millions of planets, and they all come from Karnadakshay Vishnu's. When he exhales, or sometimes they come through the pores of the skin. So that way they come, and Mahavishnu, and then from Mahavishnu, when all the universes are there from the Mahavishnu, then Mahavishnu actually enters in the form of Garbhodakshay Vishnu in those oceans. So when the Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters in the universe, then he makes different like 14 upper and 7 upper and 7 lower planetary systems. And in half of the portion, he lies down. From his body, actually, all the sweat comes, and from that sweat, half of the water, it fills up with the water. And on that water, on the bed of the Sheshnag, Lord Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he lies down there. So if you see Vishnu lying down on the in the Garbhodak ocean, then that is Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And then Karnadakshay Vishnu, he's most of the time, if you see the photo, he's sitting actually, he's not lying down, he's sitting on the Sheshnag with Lakshmi Devi, and Brahma and all other demigods actually praying him and worshipping him and asking him question and requesting him to do this thing, that thing, so that's actually Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who goes in each person's soul, his person's body, he enters in the body of the each jivatmas, and also in each atom, and not even each atom, in between the atoms also. So we can see in small spaces between the atoms, there also the Karnadakshay Vishnu is there. So you can imagine, how Lord Vishnu takes different forms and one after other, and he stays, and he's so merciful to all the jivas that he stays with them all the time, and he tries to guide us, if we want to listen to him, because we try to ignore him. Actually, that's why he doesn't show his instructions, what we should do. But if we try to clean our heart and try to listen him, then he will tell us actually what we are supposed to do. Because in this world, if you see that when Lord comes, many people think, that he's normally ordinary human being. He sleeps, he takes a bath, so many people think like Krishna was here. How many people knew that he's the Supreme Lord? Not too many, very few people who are normally the devotees, they knew it. Otherwise, many people could not even see it. And Krishna showed so many universal forms, but not too many people could see it actually. So that is the thing. And the scientists actually in this world, they do not know how the whole creation takes place. They think of Big Bang theory and this and that theory, but they are not true theory. Actually, what Bhagavatam says is true. Like even mathematics, many people think, oh, we invented this mathematic, that mathematic, but actually the real mathematicians, it's all given in the religious scriptures, like how the baby is developed. It's all given in 3rd chapter of the Bhagavatam actually. So, and this was given so many years and years ago, like millions of years ago. Actually, people knew this, like Bhagavatam is there for 5,000 years in the written form, but before that also Bhagavatam was there. People used to remember whole Bhagavatam like that. So this is great science, and we should have full faith in that, and we should see that everything is right. And slowly coming up now, scientists also saying that, oh, there are many more universes than we know of. So that thing is true actually. So Krishna actually does not directly get involved with the creation of this world. Actually, he does it through the Purusha avatars and the Guna avatars. There are 3 Purusha avatars: Karnadakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So, and also Guna avatars, it takes a lot of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So they actually do the maintenance, creation, maintenance, and the destruction of this material world. So Krishna actually does the thing, but he is aloof from it. It is done by his avatars, actually. Not he is not directly involved with them. He's involved directly, but he doesn't take part directly. He does it through some agencies, So, and from the course of the Karana Daksha Vishnu, all the universes expands, and then Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters in each. So actually, if you see that the first creation, first phase of creation is done by Lord Vishnu, also called Sarga. Sarga and Visarga. Visarga is the secondary creation. When it is done by Visarga is done by Brahmaji. Brahmaji actually comes out of the navel of the Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he sits on the lotus flower. So that's the Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So, and in the stem goes from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu to the Brahmaji. It's very long. It's like billions of miles long, actually. And all the 14 planets are in that stem. And that's why they are actually holding there, in their position. They cannot go here and there. So people say, oh, that Graha will get out of this space and this and that, but this cannot happen, actually, because Krishna, in the form of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, is holding them, and he's lying down on the Sheshnag. So secondary creation done by Brahma, actually. So how the normal creation comes, because Karnadaksha Vishnu, actually, he first, by his energy, he creates some total of the Mahatattva and also time. Because if you see in the spiritual world, there is no time. So people don't get old like we get old, and all the wrinkles comes in the face when we get old, and like we grow slowly, we get youth for a few years, and we think at that age that I will be youth all the time, but the old age grabs them once they start getting old. So we should know that our life is very temporary in this material way. We are not the people who live in the spiritual world, because the spiritual world, the people don't die, they live permanently, and their body is always live in the same way. They don't suffer at all. We all the time suffer, and we have so much anxiety. They do not have any kind of anxiety. So in course of due time, so how the qualities comes, like goodness, passion, and ignorance, they come from the ahankar. Because when we die, then our body, actually, with the pancha mahabhut, earth, water, fire, ether, it dissolves in this material world. It just goes in there. Water goes in water, fire goes in fire, like that. So body, all the 5 main ingredients goes out. But then what goes is only mind, intelligence, and false ego. So from that false ego, ahankar appears at that time, and it transforms into 3 qualities. So then goodness, passion, and ignorance comes from the ahankar, false ego, it comes. So then there is interaction of the gunas. That's called Visarga, actually, and done by Brahmaji. And from Brahmaji, actually, comes the great sages. All the sages comes, all the human being comes, all the animals, birds, all the fishes, and everything comes from him, from Brahmaji. So there are Brahmaji made 8.4 million species. So only 400,000 is human beings, actually. So they are not too many, and all the human beings actually have brain, because other birds, like animals or bees, we don't have that kind of developed brain. So only in human form of life we can actually do some good work. We can know that what is our duty and everything. Because brain is developed, so we can do bhakti only in the human form of life. And the human form of life is so rare. So we should see what is the importance of human form of life. Only from this form of life we can get liberated, not from other forms of life directly. Sometimes we may see that the dog, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually liberated him, he went to. But that's a very special cases actually. And the dog was actually great saint in his previous life, and he just had little difficulty, little bit dirt in his heart, so that's why he has to take the birth of the dog, but he may be remembering everything, like Jad Bharat, he was so great saint, like a very great soul. But because of the thinking at the time of death about deer, he got the deer's birth. But he remembered everything in the body of deer actually, and that's why next birth, he took Jad Bharat, and then he got liberated. So this is the way actually people can get liberated, and if you remember Krishna in this human form of life. Otherwise, we can go one by one, so many words we can take in this material world, and so many 8.4 million bodies we can go from one to other, and ultimately by chance, we will get human form of body. And if we waste that body also, then what is our future? Then again we will go millions and billions of years in the different bodies, and then we will get human form another chance. But if we do bhakti, then actually even if we could not finish, actually we will be guaranteed to have the human birth. So that's actually a greatness of this Krishna consciousness, that we will get another chance of human birth. So in this, each planets actually what is done by, and what we are reading about that how they are created, how these universes are created. So this universe actually, because they are egg shape, andakar, and it has 7 layers all around. So the 7 layers are, the 5 main layers are earth, water, fire, air, and sky. And then there are 2 extra layers, which is Mahatattva, and then there is unmanifest nature. So these are the layers, and these universes are in the stem of the Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and there are 7 upper planets and the 7 lowers. Upper planets are Bhurlok, which is Earth planet, then Bhuvarlok, Swargalok, then Maharlok, Janlok, Taplok, Satyalok, which is also called the Brahmalok. So Brahmalok is actually the highest planet in this material world. And the lower planets are Patal, Rasatal, Mahatal, Sutal, Vital, Atal, and Talatal. So these are the 7 planets. And then the planet where Yamraj lives, which is below even Talatal, on the side of the Talatal. So that planet, where after the death, all the people, who are poppy, like doing so much, like the demoniac people, they all go there, and they get judgment from there. So for the devotees, actually, Krishna says that they will never see the Yamlok. They will never go in front of the Yam. Devotees always actually are judged by the Vishnu Dutas, and they decide, they take the Vishnu Lok, and or they give another birth, but they have a special status. There are not too many devotees in this world, but whosoever they are, actually, they are great, and we should actually respect all the devotees, and not see their uh, the shortcomings actually, but we should see their goodness, that they are chanting, they are reading, they are worshiping the Lord, they are thinking about the Lord. So that's their greatness, and we should actually associate with the great devotees and actually get some knowledge from them. And without association, actually, we cannot increase our devotion, because it's very hard. Because we can see the example of Jad Bharat, the Bharat Maharaj. Actually, if he had the other devotees, if he was associating with devotees, not going to jungle and living there alone, some devotees must have told him, that Bharat Maharaj, you should not do this, take care so much or worry so much about the deer, because deer is nothing, somebody else can take care of deer in any way. Mother Nature will take care of deer. Many deers do not have mother, so they survive or not, they will survive some or the other, So that's why association is very important. If we do something wrong, devotees will tell us that this is not right, you should not do this, or they will give good advice, what we should do. So that way, devotees association is very important in our life, and we should respect all the devotees and learn from them what we can do in this life. So that way, now I will open for any comments or questions. So thank you very much for listening.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
In the beginning, you said if we turn towards God, then we will not be suffering. But isn't our suffering connected to our karma?
Yes, but Krishna can actually burn our karmas also. Krishna can actually burn them if we are very sincere devotee. Like sometime, with the big punishment, he can give very small punishment, like Bhagavatam says, like rather than like jumping in the sea, he will just jump the hook print of the calves. Yeah, so that's the way Krishna can really minimize our suffering. Krishna can do that. So it's not that we have to suffer all our karmas. If we are sincere devotees, all our karma can be burned away right away. Krishna can do this. But whatever karmas, is in our prarabdha, that we have to suffer, but suffering can be lessened by the Lord.
Is it that we perceive the suffering a little bit less? Do we become philosophical about suffering? That's how we see that makes the suffering a little bit easier. Sometimes I feel I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he a little bit on the opposite sides here. He says, it is me, I have to take care of it, and if and I say, whatever will happen will happen. It is Krishna's will. It is not your will or my will. We cannot. But he says, but how do you know that I don't have to do this? And I think sometimes we see suffering a little bit differently than when we don't have faith in Krishna. I'm
Yeah, that's true actually. But the suffering, we should not mind that much suffering, because suffering we should take as Krishna's mercy also. Whatever is coming, let it come. Many devotees, we can see so many examples. They suffered so much, but like Pandavas, right from the beginning, they were so good friends of Krishna. But did Mother Kunti complain at all, or any Pandav complain? No, they just keep doing their work. They, especially Krishna, remembered Krishna all the time. They didn't mind Krishna. So once we are real Krishna conscious, then we will not mind even the suffering comes. We will see as the grace of Lord's grace, and we should just suffer, continue our bhakti. So that's the best thing, rather than worrying about what will happen if I do this thing will happen. So anxiety should not be in the devotees, but it's very hard, because we live in this material world, and suffering is very hard to tolerate, because we are so used to comforts of our life. If money goes away, we will cry for that. So that is the thing actually. But the real devotee should not. So that is the thing. Real devotee should equipost in any condition. Sukha dukha, rain, shine, whatever comes. We all the time, oh, this is a very muggy day. Everybody, you meet, you go in the office, you will see, oh, it's a very bad day, very bad day. What bad or good? The good days when we chant properly, and when we read and remember Krishna properly. That's a good day actually. Not otherwise, not this material condition. There will be some, one day is bad, muggy day, or bad day running whole day, but next day will be sunny. So why we have to really worry about those things? So this suffering will come, but then the good days also will come. So all Krishna's hand in there. So we should just wait for Krishna's mercy on us, and he will give us good days also. So all things depend on Krishna actually, and everything happens by his will. So we should take all the sufferings as his will, and tolerate it rather than complain about it. So that is the best approach.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Along those lines, I was going to ask another question, but since we were there, I was also thinking that with Krishna consciousness, it allows us to have the proper perspective about our suffering. You know, we
Uh-huh.
able to kind of manage the suffering kind of in a mature way. You know, when you see like a person who has all their investment in the material world, and then maybe they're told they have a disease or something like that, or maybe some change of lifestyle happens, or accident happens, or something happens, financial happens, you know, everything goes down. I mean, they have no hope in anything. They're completely lost. Where, you know, at least for, you know, a person who doesn't have all their investment in the material world, and their investment is in the spiritual, you know, spiritual pursuits, they can at least they can understand why this is happening. You know, you see people going into depression, people going to drinking, they start taking drugs, they start gambling, they start doing all these things because they're, you know, their expectations aren't being fulfilled. They're suffering in so many ways. You know, yeah.
Yes, in New York, Yatra also they showed a play yesterday. You know how the people started drinking and taking drugs and all those things. You know that's, but that should not be reaction, because people are not do not know. It's their ignorance about the Lord. That's why they do all sort of things. You know, normally one should not do these things, but they don't know about the Lord. They think, you know, by taking drug I will be happy, so they take the drugs. You know, but they they get actually very frustrated taking even drug also. You know, because drug makes them happy just for few hours, but then after that they get the effect, you know, the side effect of the drug and so many other problems. You know, like people inject drugs, you know, they get hepatitis C and they suffer so much. So what can be done? Yeah, people drink, you know, then their liver gets bad. So these whole things happens, you know, but people do not want to come to Krishna. You know, this is the problem. Once they realize the Lord is staying in our heart and He stays with us in any condition, you know, and He can give us good directions through our Guru, because Krishna gives direction from inside, but Guru can give from outside also in this material world. So once we have the Guru and follow his instructions seriously, then there should be no problem. Whatever suffering comes or whatever happiness comes, you know, we will be good, in good shape, you know. Thank you, Prabhu.
Acharya Prabhu wrote in the chat box, we don't put our full faith in material solutions, but Prabhupada was not adverse to and often advocated normal reactions and procedures to deal with the sufferings of material life. In medical situations, for example, unless we are prepared to live like the Python man, I see nothing wrong with a little ordinary material precautions.
Yeah, material precaution we have to take it. And all the gurus, you know, now they are taking vaccines, and they are saying we have to take care of the body, because body is given by the Lord, and to, because if we don't have this body, then what will happen? We cannot perform bhakti, you know. So we have to keep our body healthy, but not like taking care so much that we waste hours all the time in decorating the body and taking care of the body. You know, we should take the body as little as possible, but we should keep it healthy some or the other. So we should eat good prasadam, like which is healthy, and then sleep on time, get up on time. So that way we do, and get up in Brahma Muhurta, do the chanting. So we should do all these normal things, you know, what devotees should do, and take care of the body. Also, we have to take care of the body, because body is the vehicle through which we can perform our bhakti. So we have to keep the body and soul together, but not worrying about so much about it. You know, little bit we have to take care, but taking care is different thing, and the worrying is different thing, because unnecessary worrying is not good. But if you worry to take care of it, you know, that I didn't eat my prasadam today, or I didn't have this thing or that thing, and that we have to take care. But otherwise, you know, we should not waste our too much time into it. So Acharya Prabhu, you want to put some words here?
He may not be in a position to talk, I'm not sure.
Okay.
If he is, he can jump on.
Uh-huh.
He writes that he said, "I'm satisfied. Thank you."
He's not satisfied. Yes, that's
He is
yeah.
satisfied. He says, he has nothing to add. In other words, I think he's saying.
Okay, yeah, because see, we have to take care of the body, but body is not all the thing, that's why all the time they say that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. So whatever needs of soul, we have to actually fulfill the needs of soul first, that's the first difference. But body we take care as a secondary precaution to keep the body and soul together. So that thing, if we take kept that formula, and then we can be actually doing good to ourselves, and continue our bhakti. If our body is healthy, then we can do good bhakti. Anyone else has any comments or questions?
I found it.
Go ahead, bro.
It was just your comment about that the stem of the lotus that Lord Brahma sits on, is from our estimation almost infinite. We it's so big, and it just reminds me how much we are insignificant. And even material science, it just gives the perspective of how we look at material science and we think we know something, but we're so insignificant. And to try to understand the world around us is almost impossible. And that's why they say they're always coming up with new ideas, new they say, oh, we discovered a new planet, or we discovered a new star, or we discovered a new element. We were talking about the elements in the periodic table. It came up the other day, and I looked it up because I wanted to see, and they said, well, in 2015 they discovered 3 new elements that they added. So it's like always expanding. It's something that it's you can't fully put your faith in it, because it's in the development stage, and it's based on the senses, imperfect senses, evaluating imperfect senses. So I think that was one big change for me coming into Krishna consciousness. Before coming, even as a Christian, we always accepted science as kind of the understanding of why things happen. We incorporated Christianity into science, at least the path that my parents were following. But they put so much faith in science. But now we're seeing even the Vedic perspective goes so far beyond, various solar systems and different incarnations of Vishnu, how they come out, and the size of the planet, as you were explaining today. It just puts it in a whole different perspective, a whole different realm.
Yes, scientists know very little, and the science, they are all the time changing. They were saying so many planets were there all the time. Like since I was in medical school in the late 60s, early 60s, since that time, medical theory has changed so many things. What I read in the medical college, now it's completely different, and after 100 years, the whole thing will go differently, all the thinking and everything. So actually scientists do not know anything actually, if you think that way, because see what the Vedas and everything said, the real medicine came from Krishna, in the form of Dhanvantri. So he actually told, and he bought some medications, so those things are still true, but we don't believe. Like Ayurveda, are given by the Lord, so that's why Prabhupada believe in Ayurveda so much, and many devotees actually believe that they are the real thing, but the science, this modern medicine changes so much, now so much so many scientists, so many doctors, for a year and a half, they are trying to find out some solution for the coronavirus. No solution actually. They invented this vaccine, but people do not know even what will be side effects, and if corona turns into different mutation, what will happen? Nobody knows actually. And again, we have to get booster every year after year, and we do not know where we are going to end up. So nobody knows about it, all these things. So scientific knowledge is completely insufficient, it's not complete science, like what Krishna consciousness is complete, and what Krishna said, he knows everything, because he is the original creator of this material world. So we should trust completely in Bhagavatam and all the Vedic literature rather than this modern scientists, because they do not know anything and they think they know everything, and that they are inventing this thing or that thing, but they are not inventing, they are taking all the resources from what Krishna gave them, and they tie a little bit and they say, I invented this thing, but it's not their invention. It's a false claim, actually. Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for nice question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Kaivalya Prabhu. I just want to mention today for the Sunday program, we are celebrating the Sunday School, and it is the Sunday School Award Ceremony. And we'll hear the different presentations from the various Sunday School classes, and we will also honor the graduates, those devotees that graduated from high school and are moving on. So please tune in today. Every year we do this. It's a tradition at ISKCON Philadelphia. So our Sunday program will be dedicated to them. The temple is open. This particular program of the Sunday program will be on Zoom. The presentations will be on Zoom, but the temple will be open at 4:30 for Arti and Kirtan. You can watch the presentations from the temple room. And then there'll also be Kirtan this evening, and 6:45 there'll be Arti as well. So this is the last week for the Prasadam pickup. If you saw in the newsletter, we'll be doing away with that starting next week, and the temple will be opening up for Prasadam distribution outside.
If some days, there are some Sundays, if there is rain or something, then what you'll do? Serve inside the temple, or what you'll do?
No, I think we're going to pack those days and we'll just hand out to people.
Oh, I see.
On those days. Still, I don't think we're ready for inside, because inside also is, can be a little small. Plus,
Yeah, small place. So many people.
In the summertime, it's also kind of warm. We don't have air conditioning in that room. So everything combined, I don't think we're ready yet for that. We'll just pack on those days. So we're gonna, inevitably we're gonna run into days where it's going to be rainy, or maybe it rained in the morning really heavily and the ground is wet. So we'll have to figure that out as we go along. But that's the plan. If it does rain, we would pack prasadam on those days and hand out to people.
So for Sunday school program, people should attend from home and then come there later on for darshan.
Yeah, darshan and kirtan will be later on. They can come for 4:30 for the arti, and if they want to watch it, they can watch it also in the temple room. We'll show it on the television screen.
I see.
If a person, if you want to come for that, we have accommodations there to be able to show the program. So we hope to see you all tonight at some point, as we gradually come back and assemble together. Thank you very much, Kaivalya Prabhu, for a very nice class. Everybody have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namah. Hare